G'day everyone, I'm Jimmy Rain and welcome to the Thinkmental podcast. For those of you that are new, Thinkmental is a video and audio experience that helps people that are looking to kickstart their mental health journey by providing them with really simple and relatable topics. If you're someone that's feeling lost, unsure, overwhelmed by all the jargon and just confused on where to start, this is probably the podcast channel for you. So on this podcast, I'll be recording weekly episodes where I talk with myself or a guest about an experience that either they or myself have had, or I just talk about a topic in general that I feel like is worth talking about and addressing, and hopefully changing a perspective and simplifying how it works for you and how it might improve you in the long run. And we're building a really amazing community over on Instagram and TikTok, so if you haven't already, maybe go check out at Thinkmental Australia and follow along. On Instagram I do a lot more educational stuff, and TikTok is obviously more reels and video. So this is obviously the first episode of the new format, so I want to quickly explain. So because this is the first episode, I want to just give you an outline of how the pod is going to work, because it is a new format. It's something a bit different which is relevant to the segment. But firstly, with every podcast episode, I'm going to start it with a segment I want to call something different, something good. I want to introduce the idea of gratitude for you guys and do it in a way that gives you a bit of perspective on how I do gratitude in the morning, if I do it, and how it's improved my mental health. But it puts a bit of a simple twist on it, and hopefully we'll give you an example of how to do it yourself and what things you can look for. I really believe in gratitude. I think it's really important for everyone. So if you can find a way to use this segment to inspire you to do it, then amazing. That's what I want to do. And obviously we'll then go into the key topic where I really want to focus on the most of the time of the episode on. It's just a really important topic that I like, something that I've learned recently, something that I've learned in the past, a story of mine, a story of the guests, and a lesson they have learned, whatever it might be. But the main topic will be the main chunk of the episode. And the last segment of the potty at the moment will be something someone said once. So obviously I'm not very creative with my segment titles, but I want a quote there that someone said once, and then talk about it. And then we'll finish the episode there. They're not long episodes, but I just really want to finish with a bit of inspiration. Well, hopefully you guys will like that. We're starting with something different, something good. The segment where we explain something that I've been grateful for this week, that it's a bit different, a bit unusual, not your usual. I'm grateful for family, I'm grateful for my partner, I'm grateful for my great job, whatever it might be. I want to talk through something that I was grateful for this week that so random, very random actually, and is a great example of how random I can get with my gratitude, but also a great example of what you will eventually need to do to get to a point of consistent gratitude, because it does take you a bit more when you've done it for so long. You run out of things. So this week I was grateful for how perfectly square my bedroom door was at the bottom. Super weird, super different, makes no sense. I get that. The gap was so perfect that it was just, I don't know, I just started thinking about like how frustrating or annoying that if a door gap was not perfectly square, it would, I don't know if that's a sign of mild OCD or something, but a square door, if you really think about it, I don't know. I'm very grateful for it. Grateful that I don't have uneven doors. Starting the segment off on a really weird note, but I think it's a great example. So when you are doing your gratitude this week, if you do it, maybe try and find something different that is still something good, hence the title. So maybe have a think about it. Something different equals something good. I've got plenty more coming each episode, so don't worry. Plenty weird ones. So this week's topic is something that is commonly talked about mental health, and correlates a lot about, something that really does impact us. Social media. And there's obviously a lot of different cliche advice out there that works amazingly. Like limiting screen time in general, or limiting screen time before bed, not waking up and opening your socials, but first thing in the morning. All these cliche but great advice that is out there. But I really wanted to touch on something that I've learned recently that has actually really only happened more recently, where it's been really effective for me feeling better about things. And it's actually being aware of what info you're taking in, because at the end of the day, social media is there. It's great tool for so many reasons, but it's about what you take in and being more aware of how it's affecting you, because there's so many examples where we just scroll and scroll and scroll. And sometimes I've learned some amazing things from TikTok and Instagram. I've learned how to be a better poster on Instagram and how to make better reaching posts and things like that. But I don't think there's as much chat about the specific things out there that we take in that might affect us subconsciously a bit more. So the key topic is about building that awareness. Building awareness of what you're taking in and how it's affecting you, whether it's good news, bad news, whatever it might be, to help you learn how I improved it. I wrote down the first half a dozen things that I scrolled past the other day, and I wanted to give that as an example of just the diverse range of things that I took in that day. And it's pretty crazy that there's such a difference and range of things that we take in, and I could have taken in that day without being a bit more aware about it. So I wrote them down. I want to read them out now, and you just listen to how different each one of them are, and just be mindful that they are good news stories, they're bad news stories, and all different things, just random things. So just, I think, acknowledge firstly how different they are, and then that's sort of the key takeaway. But then I'll talk to you through, how I look at it and how I've changed my perspective on it. So keep in mind there's some sensitive topics on here, but that was just the first 6 that came up. So if any of them trigger you, please feel free to pause it here and skip over it. So the 6 posts that I had were a person I followed had a miscarriage, terrible news. AFL player has been scrutinised over a trade he made or had done. Croissants are unhealthy and cause cancer. Johnny Depp being domestically abused is a big one at the moment. Terrible. First Nations people dying in custody. Terrible. Someone breaking a world record. Amazing news for that person. And a nice picture of a girl that I used to date. So random. So diverse in information, both good and bad. It's so ridiculous how diverse and positive and negative and all things in between that information is. And it's the first 6 that I scroll past. So I really wanted to raise today that you think about what you're scrolling on. And remember, it's okay to be scrolling. I know there's so much valuable content on there, but just think about being more aware about what information you're taking in. Obviously, I've spent the last month, 2 months, 3 months, however long, taking in good news, bad news, people's successes, people's failures, the next 2,000, or, a big one at the moment on TikTok. Here's your next 2,000 a week side hustle that you can do. So much information that we take in subconsciously, but don't realize that it may be affecting us. And remember as well that it's not a bad thing that you get impacted by someone's good news. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you hate them for being successful. It's just subconsciously something, I guess, that, for me, I can only talk on my own experience. It's something that we experience out of just a reaction. I don't know, but I just feel like sometimes we can be like, why do I hate that they're doing well? Why do I feel this way? So the point of this episode is to remind you that these things might be affecting you without you realizing. So build that awareness and look at what's coming through your feed. Look at what's coming through and whether you're taking in too much information that's so diverse that you get overwhelmed, and then eventually either anxiety pops up, depression, whatever it might be. So yeah, a bit of a homework for you guys is the next 6 to 10 posts on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. Facebook's pretty toxic, is probably the most one that I've realized that it's just so random. Instagram might be a bit more filtered because it's just people that you choose to follow. Facebook pops up things a bit more sporadically, but go to the next 6 to 10 posts on Facebook, see what comes through. It might be good news, it might be bad news, it might be random news like a croissant being unhealthy and causing cancer. but then acknowledge and be aware of how that might impact you, whether it might impact you positively, influence you positively, but it might not either. So be more mindful with that. Try it next time you go through Facebook. It'll be super interesting, and I actually want to hear from you guys what some of the more random things that popped up and on Facebook that may have had a weird impact on you at all. Obviously, there's some really great examples of how you can let social media improve your mental health a bit more, or what things you can do that with your social media to maybe lessen the impact on your mental health. And there's a ton online you can Google, but there's two more that outside of this really important self-awareness piece that I have done, and it's really helped me, is I've turned my notifications off. The only thing that I keep on is for Thinkmental, which is comments, because I want to help engage with people. And another really productive one is if you have a personal account, or if you have a business account, unfollow, go through every one of your follows, and if you haven't engaged with them online or in person within the last year, unfollow. It just isn't, or if they aren't producing content that you benefit from, feel good about, there's no shame in unfollowing them. It's just an Instagram account, or it's just a Facebook account. It's just an online platform. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're prioritizing your health over everyone else's, which is in the end the best thing for it. It's the oxygen mask theory, the oxygen mask method, putting yours on first to help others later. That's the first topic done. Amazing. Something to sit on, something to think about. Now we're going to finish with the segment of something someone said once. And I actually said this recently in an interview with Inspired Psychology page on Instagram with Tanika. I wanted to say it again because I really actually love it. I think it's an amazing quote. I'll read it out now. For people watching on YouTube, I'm just going to read it. I've actually got from a blog back in 2010 from a person named Jan Morris, who actually she explained this quote really perfectly. So I thought I'd just copy and paste it, read it out. I think it's something that's really worth hearing her explanation to inspire you guys to think differently about the concept of changing perspective on things. And it actually speaks to the gratitude piece that I started at the very start. So the quote's from Abraham Lincoln, so take it or leave it, depending on your beliefs about him. But the quote was, we can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. Great comparison quote about how we can just, as long as we flip how we're thinking about something, you'll feel so much better about the situation. And there's another quote that I'll include next episode potentially that is going to be my next tattoo, I think. But I'll read out what Jan Morris, Big Jan, from 2010 wrote in her blog. It's probably the best way to explain it. She said, I was swinging under the maple tree the other day, admiring from afar my neighbour's rose bushes. They wound around trellis, creating a stunning archway of pinkish red blossoms like giant headdress. I was tempted to approach them and fill my nostrils with their unmistakable scent. From a distance, thorns did not exist. They did not even occur to me. I only saw roses. This is how I want to live my life. In life, we focus on the thorns, the difficulties, the problems. We talk about the prickly part of our day and what went wrong. It makes for a more sensational story which will hold the interest of our listeners. But, like the prick of a thorn, we re-experience the negative emotions and feel the pain anew as we recount our tale of woe. Stress chemicals get a second run at coursing through our depleted bodies. Can we instead count each blossom as a blessing and breathe in the scent of our joyous moments? Can we cultivate our garden of goodness, tending to each blossom as we lovingly navigate around the thorns of discord? So dwell on the roses of your life and forget the thorns. Count your blessings, not your woes. Like, perfectly said. Perfectly said. I can't say any more to that. So focus on, as much as you can, the rose part of the rose bush. And forget about the thorns. Thinking about the thorns the pricks, the problems, the failures are not going to improve how you look at life. They're going to make you feel shit about it. So they're going to make you feel worse about it. So take that in. That'll be the finish of the episode. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been really good on my Instagram mainly, but just good to me in general. I get people at football, I get people online just saying how grateful they are for the content I create. I love mental health. I love improving people's mental health. I don't like the jargon that much. I do like simplifying it for everyone. So I hope I've done that today. Let's get this episode shared. I want everyone to experience the new format for Thinkmental. I'm going to be posting every week, like I said. Instagram and TikTok is Thinkmental Australia. That's where I put all my content, and YouTube is obviously Thinkmental Podcast. Give us a follow. I know that this is asking a lot, but if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or any other podcast platform that asks you to subscribe or follow or rate, I'd love that more than anything else, because it means it's shared to more people. Spotify and Apple and things like that will recognize that it's rated and people are liking it, so that will push it into the hemisphere of mental health podcasts, and more people will benefit from it. So thank you for watching and listening, and can't wait to get stuck in.